Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Municipal Service District Advisory Committee meeting to order. May we please have the roll call?
David Barkhoff.
Here.
Sabrina Bingle.
Here.
John Harrelson.
Here.
Mike Lentz.
Here.
Vaughn Lewis.
Here.
Mickey Miller. George Oliver.
Here.
Dr. Jim Polo.
Here.
Johnny Robinson.
Here.
Michael E. Rose Watson. Here. Karen Sullivan. Here. Alderman Crowe.
Here.
Alderman Astor.
Here.
Pastor Hughes.
Here.
And I, Kim Rose, not Kim Ostrom.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. Okay, quorum is present. Thank you so much. In the information you received last week, you got the minutes from our May 20th meeting, which was the last full regular meeting, not a workshop. That was May the 9th. We did that, approved those already. So if, I know you all have diligently read them, and I don't have to give you a minute, but can I entertain a motion for approval or any corrections?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Johnny Robb made the motion, and the second was Dave Barthol. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you so much. Okay, the other Kim, will you be giving the financial report today? Okay?
Okay. On the
These are with your packet here, they did not come beforehand, so they're...
The comparative balance sheet, total assets as of July 31st, $2,247,118. Total deferred inflows of resources, which is just some prepaid taxes, is $12. Total net position, $2,247,135, and then liabilities deferred inflows of resources and net position is $2,247,118. These are, I just want to point out that because our audit is still in process, the 25 numbers may still be changing due to things that get posted differently or anything that might get posted back or something like that. Any questions on that one? On the budget actual report, so this is July, we haven't received a whole lot of revenue, but total revenues to date is $12,319. Total expenditures is $45,610. Transfer to general fund, total other financing sources or uses is $42,000. Change in net position for the month of July is $75,291. The net position is $2,247,135. We did add a line this time for the amount assigned for the committee projects, which we'll talk about in a minute, for $1,155,000. So the adjusted net position as of July 31st is $1,092,135. Any questions on that? And then the next is the MSD committee projects that y'all have decided to do. Foster, did you want to talk about these? Or?
I'll tell you what, we'll come back and visit this on down the agenda in just a few minutes.
Okay. And then the last page is just the debt service for the year. At the end of June 2026, we'll owe $189,415. Both of those loans will be paid off at the end of fiscal year 27-28. Any questions on that?
No, should we go ahead, I need approval of the finance report. Do we do that with the inclusion of this or just the,
Yes.
or do you want me to wait to get a?
You can go ahead and do that.
Okay, is everybody okay with me asking for that? Okay, I need a motion then to approve the finance report.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Dr. Polo, and a second?
Second.
Johnny Robinson is the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, everybody, thank you. Okay, Foster, can you give us an update on the IEDC project? At the last meeting, we talked about that. We were going to go into focus groups. I believe we all participated in the first week in June, and I've asked Foster to give us an update.
So on June 2nd and 3rd, we actually had about 10 focus group meetings, and it involved a variety of residents, nonprofit groups, organizations such as Swiss Air, the TDA, the Chamber. I think the majority of this committee may have participated, and several people out in the crowd may have participated as well. And so we were working with the International Economic Development Council on this, and they were looking to hear what citizens, residents, anyone that had a vested interest in downtown had to say about downtown and how downtown could look in the future. Almost like a mini master plan for what downtown could be. And so they are still working on their recommendations. They took everything everyone had to say, and they're going to compile that into they're going to do a PowerPoint presentation, and then they're going to have a hands-on document that they're going to share with us. I figure they've got about 6 more weeks for that. Once we get that, we're going to definitely pass it out to everyone, and then we're going to study their recommendations and move forward. So we're looking forward to getting that. There was a lot of good conversations around the table and a lot of good comments.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Foster, let's move on now to project status update.
Okay, we've got several updates for you. I'm going to turn it over to George Childs first. He's going to talk about a few, and then I'll cover the rest of them.
Just to provide an update on the larger MSD projects that have funding allocation. The fishing pier down planned parking lot, we're actually meeting with the consultant engineer tomorrow on site to finalize some typical detail sections for bidding. So we'll have a typical detail to put out for all the intersections as we move forward. And as soon as we have that typical detail complete, we will go ahead and put it out for bid to start with Craven and Pollock intersection. And depending on scheduling and construction and holidays, we'll see how many we can achieve at that time. The benches, trash cans, and armrests are all in order of either process or waiting on delivery. The armrests are actually a made-to-order item, so there's a 2-month wait on those. So when we have those in, we'll start picking locations to install them. The parking lot restriping, which is not a part of the larger allocation, just some general things. We have completed all the parking lots downtown. They are finishing the paved parking lot today, which was also some improvements to the drainage in the center section of the parking lot. And so we're restriping that today, and we should have that wrapped up. We're also in the process of getting bids on the repainting of some of the light poles downtown within MSD, so we'll have that. So hopefully as we move forward, getting some of these numbers back and materials in, we can provide a better update on some more progress with installs. One last thing, the inner core refuge area behind Morgan's, there is a camera installed now. And the biggest thing that the camera has shown us is the need to break down recyclable boxes. And so if at any time after the meeting, I can share the 22 photos of some of the instances that were recorded with the camera where we're not getting cooperation with breaking the boxes down and the debris coming out of the boxes. So if we can just keep an eye on that with, as y'all talk to the businesses downtown, that seems to be a big issue in that area right now.
Are you also finding, because I know that David Cox has gone around to all the
Yes.
businesses, I actually talked to him, thank you, Foster. I think it helps having somebody that you can really address your concerns and questions to. But I asked him, and he said, you do show pictures of when the trash hauler comes, they're emptying it, and the trash bags are still hanging on it, and they go away. They just leave them hanging there on the ground or whatever. So some of that is coming from the fact that when they empty it, that is being placed there. And then again, I guess if the trash can lid is closed, they can't reach or they try to throw. I think there was some pictures of that. So we really need, I think the compactor will do a lot to help us in having a code, you know, to put in the thing. But the cardboard is a separate issue from the trash.
It is, and it's just a short-term assist with some of the debris coming out of the recycling dumpsters. So if, you know, we keep an eye on the people that can break the boxes down, that certainly keeps it from coming out the top and ends up on the ground. So anything that y'all can do to assist that process would be greatly appreciated.
So one of the things we have an issue with, I'll just tell you, at the Pepsi store is, and for anybody who has a restaurant, Mike, you know, the bibs, the bag in the box, those bibs, they're really not.
Almost have to stamp.
Yeah, I've got some high school kids and stuff, and they had a picture of them throwing that box in there. It's a bit, or the bag in the box, and it's just not easily, even with a knife to cut it open and try to get it closed, so we're trying to figure out a better way.
Stop on them, pull the bid out and stop on
And just get them to jump on it. They'll like that, yeah. The customers in the store, them jumping on it. But anyway, that's a situation. But again, by being notified and we're hearing these, we can find solutions to them. But when people just say it's a mess, it's garbage, that doesn't help give us specifics so that we can resolve these problems.
Correct.
So thank you to David.
And the camera does show if we have instances of drive-up people utilizing the cans.
Have you
that are
seen
not
any of that?
We have pictures of people, I cannot identify them looking at the pictures. So, it's not that we're placing blame on any individual person. It's just what we're seeing overall of the boxes.
it. As far as my perspective, if you do have any cameras, I like to see mine, because then if I don't know if there's someone on my team that's not doing it, then at least I can give them the right direction. And if they do it again, then maybe that's not the right person that I need for my
And
facility.
I can share those with you.
I don't have, I have cameras. I did get a phone call last week from someone from Mitchell's, and one of my guys did put it on the side and didn't put it inside. And I came right over, and he did come over about 10 minutes later and put it in. I don't think he could pick it up. I think he needed assistance because it was so heavy. But needless to say, and I told the ladies at Mitchell's, I want to be a good steward of this town. And, if we know about it, I can correct it. I drive by in the morning at 6 o'clock, and if I see something, I usually stop and throw it in there if I can. I think our biggest challenge is, although we're trying to correct it with the trash compactor, is usually on busy weekends from Saturday, when it doesn't get picked up Sunday, Monday morning, it's overflowing, especially Monfest weekend.
I agree. David did a good job in coming again to the Pepsi store, and it maybe because I had just engaged him. But our issue is they had a picture, and there was one of my staff in there, but it was those bag in the boxes that had not been crushed, and they were just throwing them into there. They weren't on the ground, but they were not crushed. So I was able to address it, just like you said. If we know, we can address it. So it wouldn't hurt if you go back around and say, do you know any of this?
Yeah, I don't know if you
And
post those
certainly
pictures,
provide
maybe we
those.
can come on the site and look at the pictures as owners and managers of facilities, and we can see them. And then if it's one of our folks, we should know who's working for us. Maybe it's other, you don't know, but
Correct.
if we can see them and correct the situation, that would be a nice tool.
Okay, I can certainly share those with y'all after the meeting.
Great. Thank you, George.
Okay, some of the projects that George did not mention, downtown digital kiosks. We anticipate delivery of those by mid-October, so we'll install those at that time. One will be installed at Bed Plaza, the other one will be installed at Union Point Park until work on the inner core is done, then we'll relocate that. So we're really excited about that. We've been talking with Swiss Bear and TDA on the signs that will go with that. There will also be a video component, so that will be unveiled as we get the actual kiosk and learn all about that portion of it.
So this won't be in place for Mumfest then, correct?
It will
Okay.
not, it will not. So excited about that. We have ordered some hanging planter around the light poles. So we ordered a few of those, and we will put those out when we get them. So that's coming up probably around this fall, whenever that comes in. Also, we have ordered some replacement historical downtown New Bern banners. So they should be coming in at some point. You'll just see nice, fresh banners up that aren't tattered and ragged. We also have hired a full-time custodian, and so you may have seen him. Jared Miller is the employee's name, and so he goes around downtown. He's on all the sidewalks, and he's downtown quite a bit during the day. He's also walking around the river walk as well. He's also a troubleshooter for Public Works. If there's an issue, he lets them know about things. And so far, I believe that's been working out very well. So if you see him, he's kind of a shy guy. Don't hesitate to walk up to him and have a city of New Bern shirt on and speak to him. And so-
Jared
Miller.
Miller.
So he should be very helpful. And that's all we have on the new projects.
Any questions for Foster on that? kind of ran around this, but I'm trying to keep everybody on schedule here. Okay, let's move on to the inner core update. Foster, again?
Yeah, so really after our last meeting, Billy Falkenberry and I had a conversation, and it really revolved around, a lot of people on this committee may not have had any knowledge on the history of the initial plans that MDF Architects had come up with Swiss Bayer several years ago. So Billy would like to go over those to kind of give you an idea of the thought process behind each of those plans, so everyone would have a good idea of that. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys and let you talk through that.
Good afternoon. Excuse me, good afternoon. I'm Billy Falkenberry. This is David Griffith, who did the lion's share of the work on this. I'm going to pass these out. So if I don't have one here. Okay. There's a few extras that I can distribute back here. On this side. If anybody doesn't get one, let me know. Just background of how we got involved. Swiss Bayer contacted us about 7 years ago, so I believe it's been that long now.
It's longer than that.
Yeah, well, I guess it is.
It is
My memory's not that great. It just asked us to take a look at the inner core and make suggestions. Did everybody get one?
We need a few more. I got one.
2018.
Well, I got
2018, correct.
Good.
Thank you.
You got one.
I've got a couple of extras here. I can.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, so we were just asked to take a look. The main points were trying to create a pedestrian walkway from Middle Street straight to Pragen, and look at the parking situation and look at trash. At the time, we had distributed dumpsters behind several businesses. There were 7 or 8, I think, David?
10 total.
10 total, at various locations. So one of the key things we looked at was, is there a way to consolidate the trash? As we got into it, we found out that the dumpsters were only being dumped a couple days a week because the volume was not that high as they were distributed. So I'm kind of jumping ahead. As we got into consolidating, that was one of the issues early on, is that they maintained that schedule. So we had a lot more trash going into a central location, not being dumped very often. It was a mess. So, you know, Swiss Bayer and the city got together and worked with the trash company and got much more frequent dumping, which I think has been good. We looked at 9 or 10 schemes through the several months we worked on it. Met with the committee at the time. Some of you guys were involved, others were not. Met also with property owners around, trying to get information and looking for some consensus to see if everybody would agree on the way to deal with parking primarily. Anyway, over time, we distilled down those 9 or 10 schemes down to about 3, presented those to the committee. They pushed forward one to recommend to the city, and then that one got changed to the following, I think. So anyway, I'm gonna turn it over to David, and he'll kind of go through some of our goals and the specifics of the different schemes. And I'm sorry for boring you, those that were involved. We just want to make sure everybody's got all the information we can give them so that it'll inform your decisions for your own.
Thanks, Bill. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for giving us this opportunity to present what we were able to go through. This goes back to 2017 to 2018, so it's been a while. I'm not even sure of what the current plan is. The only thing I understand is that while we tried to take a holistic approach for the entire area, which encompassed as many as 17 different private property owners, I understand now what we're moving forward with as a first step is only on city property.
That's correct.
So a lot of what you're going to see in these drawings is not going to apply to what you're currently planning to do. But that was one of the goals, just to see if we could, rearrange the entire area and get full owner buy-in on how to do this. But as Bill said, the main goals were really trying to establish a safe and easily recognizable pedestrian path from the end of Bear Plaza to Craven Street, which, if you walk back there now, you get to the end of Bear Plaza and you cross a roadway, and then there's some parking in a tree pocket and a whole bunch of recycling containers, and then the dumpsters, and it's hard to navigate your way to that sidewalk that exists between the two parking lanes.
We see people walk back into the Bear Plaza and look around and kind of go the other way. They just don't know where to go.
And, that the pedestrian walkway between the two sides of the parking lot is fairly narrow, and it's, a forest of parking signs. We wanted to see if in a redesign we could turn that into something closer to, your experience on the sidewalk, using the streetscape improvements, the light poles with the banners, the seating, the paving standards that are already in place. Any other goals Bill mentioned was to try and consolidate dumpster operations and hopefully come up with a type of built enclosure that might include water and drains, water hookups for hoses that, would make it a lot easier to sanitize them, on some schedule. Right now, I did notice that the city did clean those up just about a couple of weeks ago as I was arriving for work. It's a big operation. They had to move the dumpsters out, and they power washed with portable equipment and things like that. We'd like to see if we could put together some enclosures with water supply and drains. And just, in general, the other goal was just trying to clean up traffic circulation if possible. Right now, there's, the main parking lot is a U-shaped in and out. That's all on city property. But the only other two ways in are through private property. One of them is very narrow. It's very difficult for two-way traffic to occur on it. So in any case, that was what we were trying to work with. So this first drawing here that you encountered in your packet, just going to zoom in on it. This is the existing conditions, and this is as it existed in 2017. Anything you see here in red is just a little bit of an update from this week as I walked through and sketched the changes that have occurred. A lot of the dumpsters that were in various different places, they've now been consolidated into these three here at the end of the in drive on the parking lot near Morgan's patio. There are a couple more dumpsters. There's still one on this corner, on the back corner of Mitchell's. There's still one at the back door of the ABC store, and a number of these smaller rollout type recycling containers. But the haphazard nature has already been eliminated. And of course, then there are the changes that have taken place behind Dr. Polo's property and the old Johnson machine shop there. Those are the really only things that are noticeable in terms of layout changes. So, and you can go through all of these. We're not going to go through these in detail, but as Bill said, our first step, we came up with 9 different concepts. And it's really 9 different ways to put together these different goals we were trying to accomplish. And you can see in this first one, I'll zoom in on this a little bit. That was our first attempt at, trying to make this pedestrian path, very noticeable. As soon as you get to the end of Bear Plaza, if we simply put a crosswalk and we still had a drive aisle, which we likely will no matter what, at least, this would be wider, more comfortable, safer. Of course, it does take out a row of parking when you do it this way. We'd still have 2 on the way in, and then just a single row on the way out. And the other thing we were trying to do, this first version of it, this was a consolidation of, we figured we would end up needing 5 dumpsters. And that is the number that exists out there right now, so we think we were probably correct on that, given the increase in, emptying. We tried to consolidate those in one area. That it turns out that what we proposed there is completely on a piece of private property. Not sure that anybody would be able to make that work. And we understand now you're working only with city-owned property.
Sorry, just a second. And we have the luxury of just kind of assuming that we could take a look at it without looking at property lines so much. We were trying to be idealistic and find the best solution and hoping that could be sold to all the property owners. The other thing I'll mention is all the property lines shown here were taken off of tax maps. We didn't have a good survey at the time, so they may vary slightly, but I think they're fairly accurate.
Yeah, that's a good point. This was not a result of an actual survey. This was me searching Creighton County GIS for tax map lines, putting them all together, and it's a puzzle. And you can see how all the lines work. Is essentially this entire area is the inward ends of each of those properties just fit together like a puzzle. So as somebody would traverse this in a car, you'd go over 12, 13 different properties just to get from one side to the other. And like I said, we're not going to go through every scheme, but we came up with different ways to arrange these ideas. Here's one where we narrowed the walkway a little bit in order to allow for parallel parking on one side. That's a way to still get the sidewalk in there and be able to add a few more spaces back in there.
If I can too, one goal was also to eliminate as few parking spaces as possible and reconfigured, so we kind of had a tally on each sheet of where that stood.
At one point, we had a portion of it that relocated all 5 of those dumpsters on the city-owned lot up there at the corner. Of course, in order to access those, you have to go across, some private property also. So, everything would have taken some compromises. We had another couple of schemes that, decided we could try and align that sidewalk on one side of the larger city-owned property there between Dr. Polo's house and Morgan's. So just, a number of ways to look at all this. We ended up going through 9 different concepts on this that ended up then being, as Bill suggested earlier, called down to 3 different ones, concepts A, B, and C, not to be confused with original concepts 1 through 9, which then was called together, taking all the best pieces out of those 3 into one final scheme that ended up being the committee's final recommendation. So, I don't know how much of any of these, are going to make it into the final plan, if anything. We just wanted to make sure that all of you had access to the results of this study, all the different variations and concepts that we came up with along the way. And this little summary on the front page here, you can read at your leisure in terms of where we started, what's happened since, what our goals were, what that process was.
A few key things, and maybe my opinion for what they're worth. We tried to make sure that there was good vehicular access for servicing the dumpsters. That kind of led to some of these locations. You just got to be able to get a truck to it and away from it. You got to make sure you can get emergency vehicles through this whole area. And then we were really concerned with, we also looked at such things as compactors. We even looked into underground trash disposal, which with our water table is just not feasible. But Bottom line, most of them end up with a dumpster location here in the center if this kind of consolidation is not possible. My biggest concern, and why I'm saying opinion, is I look at visitors trying to make their way through this area, and if we do a nice walkway, I sure hate the thought of dumpsters sitting right next to it. So a way to screen them, put them as far away where they're still serviceable, so that we're not giving tourists more view of our garbage.
I do want to make note too, and Billy, thank you so much. I know how hard, I just want everybody to know all this work was done pro bono. Is that there was no cost to the city, to MSD or anything.
We
This
reached
was
a
done
point,
pro bono.
we got to the 9 schemes and people kept coming back, how about if we try this and this and this, and finally we looked at how much time we spent on it and said, sorry, we're done.
I do want to thank you for the time and effort put in there, because again, this was something you did for the good of our downtown
Well,
and the
we
good of our
really-
city, and we do appreciate it.
We use this, we park back here, we see everything that goes on, we've watched it for 20 years, and,
More.
Thanks. But we really, we want the best for what's going on back here for everybody, and that was the whole intent, so.
And I think that point about the separation of the dumpster enclosure from the main, new sidewalk through, I think that's what led to this final scheme
Yeah.
being the one
Try and get as
that
far
was
away as
accepted.
we could, which is
And
not very far.
we had to work out, how would the trash truck be able to maneuver to get in there? Could we still have that parking space? Different things like that. This one also included something a little different from the earlier schemes in that this line right here was set aside as a loading and service area for trucks that, come into downtown. You've got all day long, you've got beer trucks, you've got Pepsi and Coke trucks, you've got HVAC service trucks. They can't always park right behind the spot they need to go to. And, things like the Pepsi trucks, they have to deliver to many people. They actually park in one spot and then cart things to the different, locations. We were trying to set aside something where all of those could just line up and know that those were set aside spaces.
Okay. So this, on the final concept, you have 3 dumpsters and then 4 over there, or the 4 over there on private property?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And these were kind of alternate locations.
Oh, alternate.
Yeah.
John, you had a question?
Yeah, Billy, there's that weird floating parcel out there. It says 317 Pollock, but then it says HGL and KRL.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that?
That's an island, yeah.
Does that go with your
It goes
building?
with 317. We used to own part of that building, and yeah, that's actually privately owned by our building. John Long owns both of those. If you go, you can see where they surveyed, they've got nails in the corners. And basically, it's divided by a federal alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
What other questions does anyone have on this?
Again, Billy, we thank you so much
Well-
for coming and explaining all this to us, and
I know you've already probably seen it and gone through a lot of it, we just felt like, an opportunity to give you background on it. I can't believe it's been that long.
time waits for no one, as you know.
I feel that every morning.
Yes. Okay, Foster, I know that the last time we talked about many things, we had some great discussions, so you're still continuing to work on that and bring us an update at our next meeting.
That's correct, and we really wanted to just hold off and let David and Billy come talk about this, so we could hear what they had to say and then take any comments that anyone had after seeing this to incorporate. And as a reminder, once the MSD committee does make a recommendation to the governing board, this will be designed, it will be bid out, so it's not like we're going to be doing this on the back of a napkin. It will be professionally designed and engineered.
Foster, I want to go back to our finance report. Did you need to mention anything about the sheet we received that you said we talk about it later, the armrest and all that. This is just for our information.
That
We
is,
don't need
that
to
is for
really
your
discuss it.
information.
Okay.
That shows you what the total project budget was, how much has actually been spent, how much has been encumbered by a purchase order, and what's remaining for those projects. And a great example, benches. We actually allocated $20,000 for benches. We spent almost $15,000 for those, but we've got to do the concrete pads and other things to, for those benches. So that's where you see those additional funds from. That's just one example. So I think the benches should be arriving shortly, trash cans as well. So when those things come in, staff will start installing those, and we'll, of course, we'll send something out and some pictures to let you see what those look like as they go in.
George, excuse me.
Foster, what is your timeline expectation for the Riverwalk Pier parking?
If I had my brothers, it would have already been in by now. Then when I have to deal with people like George Childs and our engineers, he's got a different take. So I'm gonna let George kind of give an update on where we stand and when it comes to permitting things.
I'm thinking October. No.
After Mug Fest.
During Mud Fest.
Thank you, but not believing.
Well, like I mentioned before, we've had the surveyors down there, they finished the utility and the topo on the site to determine, one, the design for drainage. We have to remember that we're in an environmentally sensitive area as we get closer to the river, so that has to be taken into account, and there will be some state permits we do have to apply for, which will allow them review periods. So we are hopeful that in spring, we will have it bid out and they will be able to start construction. The construction should not last as long as the design period, but when we involve permitting and going through state agencies to receive these permits, they have certain time frames that they're allotted for review and comments back to us for the permitting process. So when we throw that all in, we could just go rogue and build one, and I'll have Alderman Astor answer to the state. But I would not go that way. We're right in the middle of the public. We need to follow all the state, federal guidelines when we do build this. And unfortunately, I can't. Yes, we could physically construct it next week, but we'd have no permit.
The city doesn't operate on that, ask for forgiveness and
Yeah.
permission.
No, we're not.
We're not like private developers. We have to follow guidelines. And anything we do to accelerate it, we will, but that would be a realistic goal. That we have a bid out and ready for construction in the spring.
Oh, great, thank you, George. Foster, are we good on that? Can we move on to the next one?
You can.
Next one is MSD New Project Proposals. Do we have any?
So since our last meeting, we have received no new proposals. I mean, if anyone on this committee has any, if they would like us to look at and vet, we're happy to do that.
Let's go.
Sure, absolutely.
We had, I thought during our last discussion, discussed the sidewalk improvement along Pollock Street from Craven Street out to the waterfront. I don't see it listed on here as one of the sidewalk projects that's being considered for the $354,000.
I don't recollect that there was a direction given by this group to do anything with that. So we could take that at any
I don't know
time.
that we have any pricing or anything.
Yeah,
We have discussed it, we agreed it's something that we want to look at. It was the scored concrete, and we were looking to see, I don't know if it was pavers or what we would do, but it was not included in the monies that we.
Exposed aggregate. Right.
Yeah, exposed aggregate, that's what it was.
Right.
So
So-
we need to put that on an agenda, and they need to get pricing then to bring it back to us. So if you want to give, we can give direction.
And we could certainly do that and bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay, so we want to, I'm going to add that to the list, then we're going to bring it as direction. Is everybody okay with that? Everybody? And the rest of it?
It's not.
So Foster, did I mention that sidewalk at the last meeting when I went through my flower pots, trash cans, and benches? Did we talk about finishing the sidewalk?
I don't think we,
Did we not touch on
no,
that?
I mean, I think we got so into the, how many flower pots we needed.
I know, I know this.
Everything that, I don't know that we had talked about it before.
So we didn't touch
because-
on
It was, I think it was briefly discussed, or it was our discussion, but there was no direction to
Yeah, no direction.
move forward.
Okay, so now we will officially give, I just want to see everybody in favor of giving, just show of hands, just in favor of giving Foster direction? Okay, okay. So we're going to give Foster, direction to Foster to get pricing for aggregate on, so it would be from Craven Street to East Front?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Would it actually go farther, go across East Front to the water?
I don't, I mean, you can get the
Well,
price,
yeah,
and
we
we
can
can
take it
look
to
and
the water.
decide, but I
It would be
think
on
it's
both
important to
sides.
at least get it to East Front.
We're directing traffic, foot traffic towards the fishing pier, and that's one of the conduits to get there.
Could also take people in for Simmons in that area.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It'd be very good.
Well, there's going to be a new restaurant over there, apparently.
Little restaurant?
Oh, yeah?
MSD's, or HPC is reviewing a proposed project on the gravel lot there. Don't look at me, I got nothing to do with it.
So that may impact that
Yep,
area
yep.
there, so. But I think, again, as we have the information, we have the ability to say, yes, we'd like this to move forward, or no, let's just let a portion of it, or however. And I think that's how we should look at it. Okay, let's move on to, at the last meeting, we asked that we would discuss at this meeting. Our next meeting date is set for October the 21st, which I believe, is that a Tuesday, or is that a, hold on. Yeah, it's a Tuesday, but I had a note saying that we wanted to have discussion about that next meeting, so I just want to, that's why I put it on the agenda. So do we want to change that date from October 21st to a different day? Or what is the
Proposing
discussion?
that we push it a week out to the 28th. Tuesday still.
Okay, but the 28th, I'm good with that. Is anybody else, is everybody else okay with that, October 28th?
I'm good.
We'll get verification on the
That is-
space, and
yes.
then we will let everyone know.
But can we take a vote on that? And that it would be, so I would need a motion to change our meeting to Tuesday, October 28th, pending confirmation of availability of this room. Okay, can I make that would you make that motion?
Yes, so,
Okay.
so I propose that we pending confirmation of availability of a room, that we move the meeting date from the 21st to the 28th of October.
Okay.
Nicely done.
Do I have a second?
I give it a second.
Michael Lee. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Okay. This is the part of the meeting where we have public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to make public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name and your address if you would, please. Or you can stand up.
Just stand up. Gretchen DePace at 217 Pollock Street. Just a question, I guess this would probably go towards George or Foster. As part of the design process for the fishing pier parking, are you considering a different surface than just putting in asphalt or concrete, something like a grass block or something like that, which would be a little bit more green and it would reflect heat as opposed to absorbing heat?
I'll defer that to George.
We are looking at several different options for water treatment. Sometimes the permeable surfaces that the state has as a permitted application are not always the best use when the water table's so high. So the water treatment doesn't have an opportunity for it to introduce it into the water table. So that's our constraint there, but we are looking at some type of natural piece in there to treat the water. We're just limited in a lot of the city on some of the applicable and permitted types of SCMs that we can utilize just because of water table height. And so, but we're going to look at all the options to eliminate having to build any type of structure that's noticeable or takes up valuable area for either walking or parking. We're not there
Grass
yet.
block,
We're
grass
not
block.
there yet.
Do you have anybody else? Thank you to our guests that have come today. Appreciate you being interested in what the MSD does, especially if you pay the tax. You want to know what's going on. So.
Tax bills came out, right?
Yeah, they did come out, didn't they? And so did the electric bill, sorry, Foster. Does anybody else have any comments at this point? We've gone through our agenda. Hooray, can you believe it? That's why I didn't bring lunch today, because I knew we'd be quick and easy. So.
I do have one
Yes.
quick question regarding the tax bill. Foster, when do we actually receive that? So if I pay the taxes today and John pays his later in December, do we receive that money in January or after the taxes are due, or is it as they come in?
Kim, do you have that?
It's as they come in, I don't remember the requirements, but the counties are required to pay the municipalities as they get a certain amount.
Okay.
Based work in Oslo County, we had to send them, I believe it was like when they got to $5,000, so they send them
Show
in
it after that
increments.
point.
And so we'll get it a little bit, and then as more people pay towards the end of the year, we'll get bigger.
I mean, most of them come in late December, early January anyway. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that? It's been a very hot summer, I will tell you that. I'm glad I escaped it for a while, but it's been a hot summer. It's been a wet couple of weeks. You know, pay attention, it's good to clean out little gutter areas and whatever. You know, that's usually the problem, so just beware of flash flooding and all that. We want to keep our downtown safe and, you know. And please call the city if you do have any issues, Public Works, if you see a drain backing up or something like that, it's important to make everybody aware of that. Foster, do you have anything else for the good, or either of the aldermen? Okay, with that being said, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Anybody? Second. Okay. All those in favor? All right, thank you, everybody.